Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of VGN Weekly. Each week, we are going to recap all VGN broadcasted events right here. We will also have in-depth interviews with all your favorite drivers, sponsors, even the league owners. This is going to be your one-stop shop for everything you want to know what's going on in the VGN world. We're going to have it and cover it right here. So please take a second here, subscribe, and like and share this broadcast. And get it out to your friends and everything else. Help us grow an audience here. And also, if you are a league owner, go out to virtualgrip.net and look us up, and we can address any of your broadcasting needs that you may have. So here we go, and we're off with our first guest and co-host of the week. It's going to be none other than Lowell Jewell. And Lowell is the owner and promoter of the Bootleg Racing series, and he's also the owner of VGN, so that means I've got to be on my best behavior if I want to have a second show. So, Lowell, how you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on board. And what do you think of this new venture that we're starting here?
I'm excited about it. I've been wanting to do something like this for how long we've been doing this? Forever. And
feels like it.
I'm glad to see something coming together here.
Well, we'll get into more of kind of what what you think that where we should go, and things that we could do, not only with the podcast here, but with the VGN broadcasting wing of everything. Because we do have other partners out there. I know they're in hiatus right now, like the Beginners League, and we just wrapped up a NASCAR league and all that. So we'll get into all that here in just a little bit, but. Well, we have a very important weekend that we have to recap. This week was championship week in the Bootleg Racing Series from Five Flags. First thing we got to do is send a congrats out to all the champions in the non-broadcast divisions. I think it was Matt Hoos. I think he brought home the Super Late Model Championship. The Street Stock Championship was Jeff Harden. And the Sportsman, the Legends, and the Mini Stock was John Wilson, which 2 championships there, but I think that's going to be a little consolation to how Saturday night in the broadcast shook down from him. But we'll cover that here in just a second. But right now, as we look at the broadcast action, first up on Friday was the SKs from Five Flags, and there was a championship on the line for Matt Hoos. He came in with pretty much a commanding lead, a nice little cushion, and also Jason Menda, who the week before had some, we'll just call it engine trouble, was dominating that race and got disconnected. So he's looking for a little redemption coming in here. And when they took the green flag, though, it was going to be Scott Negus leading the way. Scott grabbed the lead early, then had Jason there right in tow with him. So those two guys were really setting up a heck of a battle, what was going to become a very, very tight battle throughout the race. But Matt Hoos, though, his title chances took a hit real early on there, and he had an incident, and it actually found him a lap down. The other title contenders were Todd Liston and Jeffrey Harden, and their long shot possibilities all of a sudden became probable with Matt's problem there. After the restart, though, Jason Menda, I think, who was on a mission after the following week, the previous week, he was without a doubt on a mission. He grabbed that lead pretty quickly and found his way to the front, and Matt Holloway followed him into second there, and that dropped Negus all the way back to third. These guys would go on, and they would be under a blanket the rest of the way. They jockeyed around. In fact, Negus was able to get back around Holloway for second, and that's how they would wind up finishing, which the rest of the race went caution-free. Jason Menda would pick the win up. He would lead 93 laps in the process. Scott Negus would come in second, followed by Jason Menda. And, the top 5, who were also 4th and 5th were quite a ways back from those guys. That's how dominant they were. But Jeffrey Harden and Steven Spees rounded out your top 5 there. But Matt Hoos, boy, it brought some drama to the broadcast, and he ended up a lap down with no cautions, was not able to get the lap down. So you wonder how the championship folded out. Matt was able to come home 13th. And luckily for Matt, He had a cushion there, and he ended up with an 8-point championship win over Todd Liston. Very, very close there at the end. That definitely that trouble could have really spelled disaster for Matt. He was able to avoid it and get that championship. The other top 5 in those points, though, were Jeff Harden, Todd Liston, and our guest here today, Lowell Jewell. So good race there for you, Lowell. And Lowell, how did that race pan out for you? What do you remember about that? What went right? And did you have anything you might have could have done a little different to get a little further up there?
I have no idea. Don't really remember much about that race. There's been so many since then, but congrats on that for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you mentioned about you've been doing this forever. They all kind of run together, don't they?
Yeah. It's not necessarily getting old, but at some point in your life, it all comes together, runs together, and I can't remember the race last night, but I can remember the very first year in this league in 1994. So explain that one.
Yeah, that's wild. And you know what's funny is, for me, the races where I have good finishes, solid top 5s, those go into a distant memory that I'll barely remember. Now, the races where something happened, I'll recall each and every one of them that I've ever done. Anybody that's ever done me wrong, I can remember them all. But so we'll just chalk that up to a racer's mentality you have there.
There you go.
That'll work. Yep. Well, Saturday night, a whole lot more excitement was on hand here. We had a really, really tight championship battle going into Saturday night with the late models. John Wilson and Joseph Snyder were locked, in an almost virtual dead heat. John Wilson came in with the point lead. He had, I think, maybe 5 or 6 points, difference. So, a bad finish on John, it was going to open the door for Joe. So there was a lot of pressure coming into this race. Donnie Moore would actually take the field to the green flag, and Donnie was almost like shot out of a cannon. He went out, started dominating just right away. But, we talked about that tight battle. So, while Donnie's running away with the race, John Wilson was making his way up through the field, and on around lap 27, complete disaster struck. He had some contact with Adam Shane. Adam Shane got into the back of him. It turned John around, and while John got lucky, did not make contact with the walls or anything, he lost a lap turning around. The pace car passed him, and it trapped John a lap down. And this is where the high drama started for the rest of the night, because at that point, that 6-point lead flipped, and all of a sudden Joseph Snyder was in the points lead, where John was all the way back in about 13, 14, 15, somewhere back in that range. It flipped the points around, and nobody knew how this thing was going to end at that point. Scott Negus, once that caution would go out, he would fall in behind Donnie. Donnie once again would shoot out to that lead and actually pull away from the field. It looked like this was going to be Donnie's night, and we got another caution, I think about lap 46. With that, it bunched the field back up, erased Donnie's lead. Well, once we got going back under green, Donnie, I think, had used his tires up getting such a big lead there early, and he was succumbed to pressure from Adam Shane there on, I think it was about lap 50, about 52 maybe, and Adam got around him, then Moore almost immediately just started falling back through the pack. But once Shane got around him, Scott Negus was right there in second place then after that. And then a few laps later, I think Adam had the same problem, which was going to start to be a theme for the night with tire wear. Adam lost the lead to Scott, but once Scott got that lead, it was bye-bye. Scott held on, and I believe it was his first race there too, so he was able to really get out of the gates very, very strongly. The top 5, though, would be followed by Kurt Smith, Mike Holloway, eventual champion. That's how bad it went for John there, but eventual champion Joseph Snyder would finish 4th, and our guest Lowell would he'd come home with a top 5 here. But with that 4th place finish. Joseph Snyder is the new BRL Late Model Points Championship. And John, if you're watching, I hate to bring this up because this is the part that's just gut-wrenching. That point championship was decided by 1 point. So, when you think about, when you're racing and guys are racing hard throughout the season, one position somewhere over the course of the season. Obviously, tonight was a bad night for John, so it made the big difference. But you could go back through the whole season, one position decided that championship. And I do believe that's probably one of the tightest championship battles we've had in the BRL. And rounding out your top five, though, for the late model points were Bruce Pearson, Todd Liston, and Jeffrey Harden. What a season for the BRL Racing League. What a great way to finish with that tight points battle. And Lowell, what are your thoughts on the season?
Well, that particular race, you gotta, shouldn't giggle when I say it, but you gotta feel bad for John Wilson. But
yeah,
I was right behind those two when it happened, and I was holding my breath. I just barely got around John. I don't know what caused him to spin. I don't know if he got loose or what the deal was there. Even though it was right in front of me, I was concentrating on my own deal, but I barely got through there. But that kind of thing happens to everybody. I'm sure Adam probably feels terrible.
Yes.
Yeah,
and Adam is one of the cleanest racers that we have in the league. I mean, it is gut-wrenching for him because, yeah, you never want to be that guy. And unfortunately for Adam tonight, or for Saturday, yeah.
Right, but we had, you mentioned these 6 championships. Matt Hoose's 8-point win in the, that was the SK, I think it was.
Yes.
The modified. That was the largest, or second largest gap of those 6. One was a blowout, and the rest of them were within 8 points. Wilson's was 1. He tied with Todd Liston in one of them, and we had to go to a tiebreaker, which turned out to be John had one more top 10 than Todd.
And why don't we get these drivers on the front stretch to duel? That would just be. Can we do that?
We've had this list.
The 10 faces.
We've had a tiebreaker list, and it number of wins, top 5s, top 10, and it works its way down. Number 6 on the list is a duel with pistols. We haven't made it to 6 yet. I'm looking forward to that day.
As long as you're not one of the 2, right?
It should be fun. I can't wait to when we have that duel with pistols. I can't wait to hear Soup call that one.
Yeah, and speaking of calling, you talk about all these tight finishes, and I was one of the broadcasters for many of these races over the season, and the one thing I noticed over and over and over again was you look at the speed charts in practice, and we would go places and the entire field would be separated by like a tenth and a half, which, I mean, you're talking, not a whole lot of space between the fields, which has translated into making passing harder on the track. But bad nights, I mean, you've got to be on it. If you're going to show up and run a BRL race and you've got championship aspirations or a goal of being in the top 5, you've got to bring it every week. And that's not always been the case here in BRL. Have you noticed the tightening of the field from in the car and racing?
I have. It's getting harder to pass, and it has nothing to do with the track, because actually what iRacing is doing with their I lost the word there, but with their physics, it's actually making it easier to pass, but yet at BRL it's getting harder because everybody's so close together. And you talk about coming into a season, the end of the season, and you've got a championship on the line. It's never over till it's over, and anything can happen. Just ask John Wilson. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and that was tough from being in the booth, because it was kind of, I still trying to maintain being professional, but man, I was just completely, brokenhearted for the guy, and I didn't want to drone on about it. But You mentioned about the physics and what you're talking about. iRacing's actually widened the groove out and even made it where second lanes come in and everything else. But to your point, when everybody's a tenth apart, you're not going to go the outside where the guy's taking the shorter distance around the track. To make a pass on the outside, you need to be probably a little bit faster than a tenth quicker than that guy on the inside, and you're not making that pass. And yeah, I'll tell you, it's been very, 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 very entertaining. If anybody that's tuning in that hasn't seen one of these broadcasts, especially Saturday night's late model broadcast, go and check that out. You will see some of the best racing that you can really see, virtual or not, in my opinion. But what a great season, and that's got to make you, as a league owner, take away the driver's hat off you for a minute, put the league hat on. I mean, you have to feel that BRL right now is stronger than ever with their on-track product.
Yeah, 95% of the guys that race in our Invitational Series have been here for close to 10 years, probably. And that's a good, solid core group, and it just gets tighter and tighter. And it, like you said, harder and harder to pass. But that just adds to the excitement and the fun. I've raced other places. I've raced official series. I don't know where I could go to have more fun than what I do on Friday and Saturday night.
Well, you talk about running other series and everything else. You've been in iRacing pretty much since they opened the doors over there, right?
Actually, 2 months before they opened the doors.
Oh, you snuck in. Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
Glad that I think the statute of limitations have passed, so we'll move on from that. But going back to your iRacing career, you've obviously had your baby here, which is the BRL. But what are some of the other things that you've done in iRacing that stand out to you? Like endurance racing? Well, like endurance racing, maybe another league you've been a part of.
Yeah, I love road racing. I'm not very competitive, but I still enjoy doing it. It's more me against the track than it is me against somebody else. When iRacing brought the team aspect in and started doing these endurance races, that very first, I think it was Daytona, 24 Hours of Daytona, that was the most fun I've ever had. I think to this day, it's still the most fun I've ever had in any kind of sim racing, was getting together with 5 or 6 guys, sharing a car, not sleeping, and not eating, and just the team aspect. It's so much fun. But that's one of the big standouts for me. And then, of course, BRL is a close second. Yeah,
that team thing, for those of you out there that may be in iRacing and haven't had a chance to do that, that is something that I highly recommend. That's actually the most fun that I've had, is the team racing. And I have my own team with Gambler Motorsports, and we're a bunch of dirt guys. And we go do the endurance racing, and we did the 6 hours at the Glen this past weekend. And you are absolutely right about how much fun it is. And you point out that it's you against the track, and that's usually our goal. Our goal is never, hey, maybe we can be top 10 here or top 5 or get a win. Our goal is keep the car on the track. Can we actually do that for 24 hours? And while that sounds, pretty simplistic, man, it's a lot of fun to do. And yeah, you touched on it. So yeah, I recommend that to anybody out there. Give that a shot if you can. Get a group of your buddies together and go do one of those races.
Yeah, this might not be a selling point, but you can't imagine the pressure of not wanting to be that one guy out of the 5 or 6 that wrecks the car and ends the whole night.
Yeah. I've been that guy where I know that I was the weak link on the team, and I was just there to have more because I wanted to, because I enjoyed to, where the other guys on the team took it a lot more serious. And and then yesterday, funny you say that, because yesterday I was the one doing the final stint in our team, and it was about to rain. We were sitting second overall, and I'm getting in the car, and I'm a dirt guy, and I got to turn right and left. The amount of pressure getting into that car, so yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And as weird as that is, that's one of the things that makes it fun.
Exactly.
That is,
and pressure.
Yeah. Yep. But how about outside the endurance? I know that you've raced on Tuesday nights with the league. From your perspective, when you go and run another series that's not your own, what's that like? You're just showing up with a helmet.
It's different. Yeah. I really don't know what to do when I get there. I'm supposed to just go out there and turn some warm-up laps and then go racing, and it just feels so odd, but it is fun, and it's nice to not have everything bearing on your shoulders and just go out there and have fun racing. And that's a fun league too. Alan Wanamaker's got a good deal going on over there.
What's the name of that league?
It is Yesteryear Racing. This year, it's taking a whole year to run this season. They are running race for race the 1990 Full Modified Series, which is very cool. And everything about it's cool. There's no lucky dogs. There's no waiver rounds. There's no fast repairs. It's just like old school racing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of our BRL guys over, and in fact, yesterday sponsored a race. What was it, last weekend?
Yeah.
Or the week before that they did. But I think I watched the broadcast on Tuesday, and I think I saw Donnie Moore there. I saw Ryan Seneker there. I saw you there. There was like 5 or 6 different guys.
There's a few more. That's a lot of fun too. He draws his racers from 3 or 4 different leagues. One of them is similar to BRL, short track asphalt. One of them is a NASCAR style situation, but he's got a good thing going on. And it's a lot of fun.
Well, I know you're big eye racer, been doing this for a long time, and I know I'm going to probably regret going down this rabbit hole with you, but what are some of your other interests and maybe even other sim interests that you have?
You wanted to ask that question.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, Lowell and I will text each other, occasionally throughout the week, and I'm getting some peer pressure. Why don't you tell us your new, could we call it a passion at this point, or just a straight hobby, but something you really enjoy doing? Why don't you tell them about it?
Yeah, I avoided the flight sims for years and years. I wanted really bad to get involved, but I knew where it was going to go. I've spent a lot of money piecing a race rig together over the years, and once I fired up that simulator, it was all downhill from there. So I do a lot of flying, a lot of single engine prop planes, island hopping, warmer climates. It's just it's relaxing, and it's a lot of fun. You can see a lot of videos on my YouTube channels if you're into just taking off and landing point A to point B with no commentary. That's where you want to be.
Or what can we just look up YouTube, type in Lowell Jewell? How do we find you? How does all those videos on that?
I have YouTube channels on the screen right in front of me here. Can't see it, but I think it's there. And I can't remember what it is, so just...
All right, we'll let Ryan put that up there. So for those looking right here, look right here, and we'll see if we can get that out there for you. But hey, I tell you, you've sent the pictures, and that looks like a lot of fun. And how often do you do that? Once a week, twice a week? Is that something? Because I gotta imagine it's really relaxing, because if there's kind of I hate to use the word zen, but just kind of you're not up on the wheel, you're just relaxed.
It is relaxing, although it's a lot to learn, getting an airplane off the ground and then even more to learn getting it back down on the ground. But it's very relaxing. It's a lot of fun. I don't know.
Well, isn't that what parachutes are for? You can just leave the plane and
yeah. I'm not jumping out of the plane, but at least this one's not real. So if I goof up and don't nail that landing, Yeah. Hit the
Your
reset button.
your next to kin's not getting notified.
That's right. Yep.
Well, do you have anything else outside this? Do you like to fish or hunt or anything else? I know also by day, your day gig, you drive a truck. What do you drive, or what are you hauling, and where are you going to and from?
Right now, I'm going from home here in northern Kentucky to down around Nashville and back every day. I'm in the auto parts industry, so we stay busy.
I can imagine there. Nice little trip during the day, and you come home and race at night. That sounds like a heck of a way to spend your time. And of course, retirement probably always sounds better. I've been thinking that since I was 20-something. It'd be a lot better if I could just go have fun and not work.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that. Yep.
I'm sure we won't find anybody to disagree with that for the most part. But, we've covered all that and covered kind of who you are. But, a big part of, like we've said, of who you are and things that you do are both the BRL and the VGN. And, we just did absolute beginners on VGN. I cannot think of the name, so forgive me, about the NASCAR league that you guys had. It's just there. We've covered the BRL. I know through time we've covered a lot of different races and stuff like that. What do you see on the horizon for VGN? Where would you like it to go?
I'll be quite honest. I have an idea where I want it to go, but I don't think it's going to work out. So, yeah.
Well, let me rephrase it. Let me actually rephrase the question. You're looking for partnerships to broadcast. Who is the ideal partner, and what can you do for them? What are they getting when they get a VGN broadcast? And what are you looking for from a league standpoint that you think would make them look great to the viewer?
Well, with my league owner hat on, you need to put together a series that has consistent car counts. They are not caution fests, which we all have those. It's not 100% avoidable.
Yeah, full moons happen every now and again. So when that happens.
And we just need the racing to be a little bit exciting. Our commentators can make it even more exciting. So that works out. We've got a great group of commentators here, including yourself. And we've got Ryan in the background doing what he does, making us, I think, look better than anybody out there, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is that
we cover a whole season. We prefer to do that than a one-off race. We can pretty much give you whatever you want to do. We can accommodate any and all sponsors, what have you. But what I'd like to see it become, I'd like to stay focused on short track racing, and there are some good short track leagues out there. If I had one wish, it would be that Virtual Grip just covered short track racing, and then I could just watch racing all the time.
Short track racing is so much fun. I mean, it's nonstop action, and I think it has quite a bit more unpredictability, which adds to the viewer and keeps them on the edge of their seats. So I can definitely see why you would want that and whatnot. But I tell you, I've watched the broadcast, and of course I'm kind of biased because I've been on a few of them. But the way that they cover the races, and I think you've got the most unique play-by-play voice out there. Soup's amazing, and never mind that you're going to get a professional product by just the aesthetics of it with what Ryan does behind the scenes to bring the screen to life per se, but Soup and narrating and some of the things that he says, there's times I fell out of my seat, with things he said, including this past weekend. So, great product that you got. You've really put together a solid team. So, if anybody is interested and you are a league owner and you do have some broadcast needs, I believe they can find you, Lowell, right at virtualgrip.net?
Yes, sir. Virtualgrip.net. There's a form you can fill out, quick and easy. comes right to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Well, your other love of your life now, I guess, or your love of your sim life, or one of them, I guess, I don't know how to put that, but would be the BRL. And, your BRL, you've been at it for a long time. You said, what is it, since 94?
94.
It's a long time, and we're going to have some changes. That the one thing about BRL that I have to say that's made it interesting, even though it's the same group of guys for the most part, you do things to keep it fresh and fun and new. And well, we've got some changes on the horizon this season. You want to touch on some of those?
Well, for starters, we're gonna cut back a little bit here and kind of reset. We're dropping Friday nights. We're going to move our 2 invitational series to Saturday nights. Now, of course, it looks like they'll both be broadcast. So. And that will be the SK Modified and the late model stock cars on Saturdays. Eventually, maybe a season or 2, we'll bring back an open series for the everyday racer that can sign up and come race with us. But we just felt like we needed to step back a little bit, take a breath, and do some more flying. So we're going to cut back a little bit, but we'll be back in full force.
Well, that's going to be awesome, because now you can plan your way around, and it gives us an extra night as a competitor. I'll tell you, I'm excited about having my Friday nights. My local racetrack runs on Friday nights, so can't wait to get out there and see that. But on track, you've got some changes coming too. For the first time, and you mentioned earlier about the physics, and and then I talked about that second lane. You're going to give the leader lane choice. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it always, well, up until earlier this year, it really just didn't make any sense to have lane choice unless you were at Thompson or Lucas Oil or Irwindale. Where it was a top line dominant track. But now with iRacing's physics, depending on the weather conditions, track conditions, whatnot, we're getting a lot more two-groove racing going on these short tracks. So now it means something when you're the leader and their caution comes out, or even on the initial start. But if a caution comes out, you're going to have a restart. You may want to go up. You may prefer to start on that outside line and get a better jump or whatnot. So now we're going to allow the leader to have a lane choice on starts and restarts, and I think that'll add even more excitement to the racing.
I think you're right. And, that's also not only going to add more excitement for the drivers, because now, you've got it behind the wheel, you've got a calculated choice if you're running up front there. To the viewer, you're going to see something a little bit different, and I think that's going to add to those starts and restarts. The unpredictability, like I said, and that's kind of what keeps everybody around. You just never know what's going to happen from one lap to the next. And I'll tell you, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but man, I wish we would bring back that 4-lap qualifying deal. Man, that was a lot of fun, but maybe someday. But you've got a great league and everything else, and I am proud to be a part of it. And I can tell you, each week, you can go out and find the videos out there of all the races and stuff like that. I know friends and families of a lot of our drivers watch them. They're thankful to have those broadcasts too. And if you want to sponsor those, any of those races, and kind of get your name out there to our audience, Lowell, how would they do that?
Sponsor BRL races? That was a question.
Yes. Yep.
That's fairly straightforward too. BootlegRacingLeague.com. We have a page dedicated to sponsorship. That'll give you some information, and then it'll tell you how to get in touch with me, and I'll give you a whole lot more information.
Well, great. So anybody out there and especially if you've got an e-commerce business, this is a good opportunity for you to get in there and get your name out to our audience there. So anybody that's interested, like you said, Bootleg Racing. Was it .net or .com?
.com. BootlegRacingLeague.com.
Gotcha. Well, Lowell, I really thank you for ever you're getting to know you here a little bit, but I guess we got one final bit of business here. We're going to be kicking off a new season starting next week. We're going to be going, I believe, Southern National, and Southern National is always, the only way that I can describe it, Lowell, it's tricky and it's fast. What are your thoughts about Southern National?
To me, it's one of my favorite tracks. A little known fact, it's a 4/10 mile, and each corner and each straightaway is each 1/10, so it's exactly symmetrical. And I like tracks that are the same on both ends because I don't have to remember which end of the track I'm on. It always produces some great racing, and I'm looking forward to getting the new season started on Saturday night.
Yeah, and that's one of those tracks too that where you're talking, about weather in that second lane. Depending on what conditions are when we get there, that's a track that would give us that second lane. But the trouble there is actually coming out. You talk about they're all symmetrical. Well, exit of turn 2, exit of turn 4 always seems to be the trouble areas of that track. And either, depending on the classic car, I think it's the SKs that tend to want to push out of there, and then the late models want to snap loose out of there. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Depending on weather conditions, track temperature, and all that.
Yeah, and they snap, especially the late models. They snap. Without warning. There, it's a track that can really set the tone for a season because we talked about how tight these point battles are. This is I know in NASCAR they talk about wild card races, Daytona, Talladega, maybe even a road course. But to me, this is one of our wild card races because, first of all, everyone's close. It's so fast. When you see a wreck, you're usually in it there. And coming out of those corners, you better be up on it or you're going to go around or be in a wreck or whatever it might be. But what a fun track it is. Like you said, you like it. I have a love-hate relationship with it. And so depending on the race and what's going on, that track, I've ended up upside down at that track, I think, more than once. And I've had some decent races there. So I definitely a love-hate for me. But some of the past SK winners there that are expected to be there are Mike Holloway, Kurt Smith, and then last season when we were there, Jason Menda, he won the last event there. And then we look over on the late model side, and some of the past winners that we expect to be in attendance are Donnie Moore and then Mike Holloway. Mike was last season's winner there, so man, oh man, hopefully we can write some of these a new name and a new face in there and put them on top of the leadership board and get that points battle started right. But Lowell, I want to thank you very much because you're our first guest. I know probably wasn't always perfect through this little moment here, but I thank you for being our guest here, and I wish you the best of luck on track this season. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with anybody?
Nope. I just appreciate everything you're doing, everything Ryan's doing, everybody at Virtual Grip, and all the racers and everybody that helps behind the scenes at Bootleg Racing League. None of this could happen without anybody. I can't do it by myself, so I appreciate everybody's help. And Saturday, 7:40, we'll see you on the Virtual Grip Network.
Absolutely. I can't wait to be there and be on track once again, and hopefully my attendance is really good this year, so maybe I can cause some trouble or get in a points fight or something. But with that, we are going to wrap up this week's show, and please remember to give us a like and a share, and actually not only this, but even our broadcast. And remember, all things VGN can be found at thevirtualgrip.net. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you right here next week.